The sky was burning with fire and metal as warships flew like angry birds above the strange alien world of Solara. Explosions painted the clouds red and black, while laser beams shot across the air like deadly arrows. Screams of soldiers echoed through the sky as battles between humans and Zellerans turned more dangerous. Every second a young human soldier named Kai sat inside a small fighter ship flying low under enemy radar. His mission was to drop near the jungle and collect secret data. From a crashed human ship, he was focused and calm but also nervous because Solara was a deadly place. Suddenly a missile came from nowhere and hit the side of his ship. The ship shook wildly like a leaf in a storm. Warning lights flashed red. Loud alarms screamed in his ears. He pulled the controls hard and tried to land safely, but the engines were dying fast. Ship crashed deep into the jungle, breaking trees and sliding across the wet ground. The glass cracked and sparks flew from the control panel. Kai hit his head and blacked out for a moment. When he woke up, everything was silent except the sound of strange alien birds in the trees. His helmet was broken and blood dripped from his forehead. His leg hurt, but he could still walk. He picked up his emergency pack and blaster and started walking into the jungle. Trees were tall with glowing leaves and purple vines that moved slowly like snakes. The air was heavy and smelled like metal and flowers at the same time. He looked around carefully because Solaran patrols were everywhere. One wrong step and he would be dead. As he walked deeper into the forest, he heard a soft voice. It was weak like a whisper from behind the bushes. He moved closer and saw something that made him freeze. A girl was lying on the ground. Her skin was shining silver blue. Her hair was white like ice. She was wearing armor with royal symbols glowing on her chest. Her body was wounded and glowing blue. Blood was flowing from her side. She looked at Kai with pain and fear, but she didn't scream or move. She only said one word, help. Kai didn't know what to do. She was an alien, an enemy. But something in her voice didn't sound like a soldier. It sounded like a person who was hurt and scared. He looked around. No one was there. He knelt beside her and opened his pack. He pulled out a water bottle and gently lifted her head. Her lips were dry and her breath was slow. She whispered again, please, just a little water. Kai slowly gave her water, but some of her glowing blood had touched the bottle earlier without him knowing. And as he drank a small sip of the same water to calm himself, the blood entered his mouth without warning. Moment it touched his tongue, he felt something strange. His heart skipped a beat. His mind filled with a sudden light. He saw flashes of stars and memories that were not his. The girl gasped, and her eyes glowed bright blue. A wave of energy passed between them like lightning made of thoughts and feeling. She looked into his eyes and whispered with fear and shock, you drank my blood. We are so bonded now by royal law. Kai stared at her, not understanding. What does that mean? He asked. She was weak but serious. Her voice was shaking. Your soul is now linked to mine. You feel what I feel. You die if I die. We are bound forever. Kai stepped back. This was madness. This was not part of the mission. He didn't want to be linked to an alien girl. He didn't even know her name, but his body felt different. His mind was full of her voice. He could feel her pain like it was his own. She tried to speak again but fainted in his arms. He caught her before she fell. He looked at the sky. Enemy ships were still fighting far above, but something bigger had just started right here in this jungle. Something no war could explain. Something no human or alien had planned. He was now soul bonded to a royal alien girl. And the war was only the beginning. He looked down at her glowing blood and knew his life was no longer his own. Asterisk. A strange wind moved through the alien jungle as the night began to fall, and the stars of Solara blinked above like quiet watchers in the sky. Kai sat near the glowing fire he made using broken parts of his crashed ship and dry alien leaves. Beside him, the silver blue girl lay silent, her breathing slow and her skin pale like moonlight. Her glowing blood had stopped flowing, but the shine in her veins still danced like soft lightning. Kai looked at her again, unsure of what had just happened a few hours ago. He could still feel the moment her blood touched his tongue. He could still hear her voice in his head, even when she was sleeping. She had said they were bonded. Soul bonded by royal law. He didn't even know her name. He only knew that his heart now beat in rhythm with hers. Every time she breathed, he felt his own chest rise. Every time she moved even slightly, his own body reacted like a mirror. Suddenly her eyes opened. They were bright blue like burning stars, but this time they looked calmer, softer, and older than her face showed you. Are still here, she said in a soft voice, like music underwater. I couldn't leave, Kai replied. Your blood is in me. I feel it moving. I feel you in my mind. She sat up slowly with effort. You should have run, she said. My people will kill you for what happened. Then tell me what happened, Kai asked. Tell me what this bond means. She looked at the fire, her face quiet and sad. My name is Alira. I am princess of House Navarra, heir to the crystal crown of Zalara. My blood is royal and sacred. It carries the soul of my ancestors. When you drank it, even by accident, it awakened the bond of the ancient sky. Listened, his heart heavy with confusion. I didn't mean to, he said. I was just trying to help. I know, she said. That is why it worked. The bond only activates with truth and intent. Your heart was clean. You wanted to save me. So now you are bound to me forever. Kai stood up and walked away from the fire. He looked up at the night sky where the war still echoed like thunder across stars. Forever is a strong word, he said. I don't even know you. I don't know this planet. I'm just a soldier. Alira stood up too, her legs weak, but her voice strong. You are not just a soldier now, you are a bloodbound. Our souls are connected. If I feel pain, so do you. If I die, so will you. And more than that, you now carry my light. A piece of my royal blood is inside you. That means you are part of the throne, and that means everyone will hunt us both. Kai turned and looked into her glowing eyes. Why would your people want to kill their own princess? Because I ran away, she said. I refused to follow the law. They wanted me to marry a warlord to keep the alliance strong, but I saw death in that man's heart. I chose to escape instead. Now they call me a traitor. Kai felt her fear enter his chest like cold wind. He didn't want this bond, but he couldn't deny it now. He could feel her pain, her memories, her voice. It was not just inside his mind, it was becoming a part of him. So what do we do now, he asked. Where do we go? Lyra looked at the jungle shadows. There is an old temple deep in the south forest. It is a place of silence and secrets. Only the bonded may enter, maybe. We will find answers there. Kai nodded, but before he could speak, his ears caught a sound, a mechanical hum, not from his broken ship, from the sky. He looked up and saw red lights moving between the trees. A hunter drone. It was scanning the area. Lyra grabbed his hand. They found us, she whispered. We have to move now. They ran into the jungle. Branches slapped their faces and roots pulled at their feet. But their hands stayed locked together, as if something deeper than fear was guiding them. The bond was no longer just a rule. It was now their only way to survive. The night air was cold and heavy as Kai and Alira ran through the glowing jungle of Zalara, their feet pressing against soft moss that pulsed with green light. Behind them, the hum of the hunter drone grew louder, like a swarm of metal insects searching. With red eyes and sharp memory, Alira was breathing fast, but her hand never let go of Kai's. Their fingers were locked like magnets, drawn by something more than fear. Something ancient, something alive. Kai's heart pounded in his chest, not just from running, but from her. He could feel her fear inside him, rising like smoke inside his lungs. She was not just beside him now. She was inside his blood, inside his mind. Every heartbeat, every thought felt shared. They reached a stone wall covered in vines shaped like strange runes, glowing soft purple. Alira placed her hand on the wall and whispered a word in her language. The vines pulled back like curtains, and a narrow door slid open with a low growl. Inside was a tunnel, cold and dark, lit only by blue veins in the rock that pulsed like light under skin. They stepped in just as the drone flew past overhead, missing them by seconds. Kai leaned against the wall, trying to catch his breath. What was that thing, he asked, breathing hard as sky. Hunter, she said, half machine, half soul tracker. It follows heart energy, not footsteps. If we don't move, it will feel us again. He looked at her in the dim light. You said our bond is royal. Does that mean they can feel it too? Yes, she said with worry. They can feel you now too. Your heart is no longer human, only it is half Solaran, half mine. They walked deeper into the tunnel. Strange lights flickered in the stone like memories trapped in time. Kai touched the wall and saw a flash, a memory that was not his Alira sitting on a golden throne. Alira standing before her mother, Alira running through fire. He pulled his hand back, shocked. I saw you, he whispered. I saw your life. Alira stopped and turned. I saw yours too. She said quietly, I saw your mother crying in the bunker. I saw your brother when the blast hit. I felt your anger. They stood in silence, no more secrets between them. The bond was peeling away the layers like fire melts ice. Suddenly the tunnel opened into a wide chamber with ancient alien tech glowing in circles on the ground. Hoverbikes, old and dusty, but still alive, waited like sleeping beasts. Lyra ran to one and placed her hand on the console. The bike lit up with a soft hum and floated off the ground. Get on, she said. This is not a tunnel. This is an old escape line from the war days. We ride now before they trace us. Kai climbed on behind her, holding tightly as the bike began to move. It shot forward like a falling star, the wind slapping their faces as they flew through the tunnels of the old war lines. Behind them the drone had found the entrance. It let out a scream like metal pain and dove into the tunnel after them. Bike twisted through narrow turns and glowing rings, lights blurred and air cracked. Around them Alira leaned forward, her eyes glowing with royal energy. Kai could feel it in his chest like lightning chasing blood. Drone was fast, too fast. It fired a shot in the wall beside them. Exploded, rocks fell, the tunnel shook. Alira turned the bike sharply and they dropped into a deeper level. They were now in total darkness. Only the bond guided them now. Kai closed his eyes and let his thoughts move toward Alira. He didn't speak, but she heard him. Left. Now right, go down, she followed. His thoughts like music, their minds danced in sync. Then suddenly light ahead. A final gate glowing with royal symbols. She shouted a word from memory, and the gate opened like a breath, flew out into open air, a massive crater surrounded by black trees and a broken stone temple in the center. They crashed into soft ground, the bike sliding into the mud. The drone hit the gate behind them and exploded into sparks and dust. Silence returned, only their breath remained. Alira rolled over and looked at the old temple. We are here, she said. This place is forbidden. Only the bonded may enter. Kai looked at the broken doorway ahead. Stone statues of old Zelleran stared down at them with empty glowing eyes. The wind whispered through the trees like an old voice waiting to speak. So, what now, he asked. Now, she said, we find out what the bond really means. Asterisk. The wind around the temple moved like it carried voices from the past. Soft whispers danced through the trees as Kai and Alira stood before the crumbling doorway covered in glowing blue symbols. The old stone was cracked, but alive with energy. Something deep inside was waiting. Watching. Alira stepped forward first, her hand brushing across the ancient carvings. The stone reacted to her touch, glowing brighter with every movement. This place is older than the war, she said. Older than the throne, older than me. Only those who are bonded may enter. This is a temple of truth, and truth is not always kind. Kai followed her inside. The air changed. It became heavier like water, but warm. The floor was black stone with silver patterns that shifted like living maps. The walls showed faded paintings of humans and Zellerans standing side by side, their hands glowing, their eyes shining with light. What is this place? Kai asked, his voice almost a whisper. Alira stopped in the center of the main hall. She looked up at a dome filled with stars, not painted, not carved, but real moving stars floating above their heads. This is the Hall of Echoes, she said. A place where memory and truth live together. And now that we are bonded, the temple will show us what it wants us to see. Suddenly the room changed. The stars above turned red. The walls melted into light, and Kai felt something enter his chest like a wind filled with fire and ice. A vision pulled him forward. He saw a different world. Not war, not death, but peace. A human and a Zellaran queen standing together. Bound by blood, surrounded by light, their hands glowing like two suns joined into one then. He saw fire, betrayal, the bond broken, the queen falling, the human screaming. The vision faded. Kai fell to his knees, breath shaking. What was that? He asked, his hands on the floor. Alira knelt beside him. I saw it too, she whispered. This bond is not new. It has happened before a long time ago. They tried to unite the worlds with love, but someone feared that power. So they destroyed it. Kai looked at her, eyes wide. Then why are we bonded again? Why now? The temple lights shifted. A stone door opened on its own, revealing a chamber deeper inside. They entered slowly. The room was filled with crystals floating in the air, like frozen time. At the center was a single chair carved from glowing bone. Above it words were written in old language, but somehow Kai could read them. One human, one royal, one bond, one future, peace or destruction. The bond will choose. Alira read the same line at the same time. They looked at each other with fear and understanding. This is not just about us, she said. This bond could end the war or make it worse. They touched the floating crystals. Each one showed a different path, a future that could happen. In one they ruled together in peace. In one they died holding hands. In one the galaxies burned. Kai stepped back. This is too much. I didn't ask for this. I was just a soldier. You're more than that now, Alira said. You're part of something ancient, something broken, and maybe we were chosen to fix it. The ground shook. The light dimmed. The temple did not like fear. It responded to truth and purpose. Only. Alira held his hand. You feel me in your mind? Yes. Then listen to me. Now we are not alone, but together we might be enough. Kai nodded. He could feel her heartbeat inside his own. He could feel her pain, her strength, her courage. And she could feel his. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the chamber. Not male, not female, not young, not old. Just presence. The bond is real. The path is yours. Choose wisely. The crystals dropped to the floor and turned to dust. The vision ended, but the truth remained. They left the chamber and stepped outside into the cold alien wind. The sky was darker than before, and far in the distance, red lights began to rise again. Hunters were coming. Kai looked at Alira. We know the truth. Now we fight for it. Alira nodded, her eyes glowing with quiet fire. Then let the truth be our weapon. The cold wind carried the scent of war across the hills. As Kai and Alira walked away from the temple ruins, their hands still marked with the light of the bond. Their minds were quiet but heavy. The visions they saw inside still echoed in their hearts like a song with no ending. Kai could feel her worry without her speaking. Alira was thinking of her sister, the Queen Zara. She was once my best friend, Alira whispered as they climbed a rocky path leading to an old rebel outpost. When we were children, we would race through the palace halls, pretending to be sky warriors. We shared secrets and dreams. But now she wears the crown and sends assassins to take my life. Kai looked at her face, the sadness in her eyes deeper than any scar. He wanted to say something, but words felt small, so he just walked beside her and let the bond speak for him. Outpost was hidden under the roots of a massive tree, its entrance buried under glowing moss. Inside, old rebel tech buzzed softly, still breathing. After all these years, a small figure stepped out of the shadows, armor shining silver. Eyes cold. It was Commander Vion, Alira's cousin, a warrior of the royal guard, loyal to the throne, but once loyal to Lara. He looked at her in silence, then at Kai, then back to her. You should not have returned, he said in a voice like broken ice. You broke the law, Alira. You broke the bloodline. You brought a human into the royal bond. He didn't choose it, she said. I tried to survive. The bond chose us both. Vion walked slowly around them like a shadow made of steel. And now what? He asked. You think the queen will welcome you back? You think the council will kneel because your soul touched his? Kai stepped forward, his voice calm but steady. We saw the truth. In the temple, the bond has power. It was meant to bring peace, not war. Vion laughed softly. Peace is a lie created by people who fear strength. Do you know what the queen plans now? She prepares a weapon, one that can destroy every bonded pair. You are not the only one, Alira. There are others scattered and hidden. If she finds them, She ends them. Lyra stepped back, her heart beating fast. Why are you telling me this? Because he said, his eyes turning dark. I am here to stop you before she does. I am sorry, cousin, but this is the only way. He raised his weapon, a blade glowing with anti-bond energy, designed to cut the soul from the body, designed to end the link forever. Kai moved fast, pulling Lyra behind him. The bond reacted like lightning. A shield of blue light burst between them and Vion's blade. It crackled and screamed, but it held. Lyra looked at Vion, tears in her voice. You were my blood. You were my brother in all but name. Why would you do this? Vion's face did not change. Because I believe in order and law, in the queen, and in a future where the throne is pure. He struck again, but this time Lyra raised her hand. The bond glowed from her chest to her arm and to her fingers. A pulse of energy flew from her palm and hit Vion. Like thunder, he flew back, crashing into the wall armor, smoking. She stood still, breathing hard. Tears fell from her eyes. I didn't want this, she whispered, but you left me no choice. Kai helped her down the tunnel as alarms began to scream. The outpost was compromised. More guards were coming. They escaped through the tunnels, lit only by the weak glow of fading power cells. Their hearts were heavy. The bond between them shaken, but still strong. Outside, the jungle opened into a valley filled with red lights. Queen Zara's army had arrived. Lyra looked at Kai, her voice calm but broken. My sister will not stop. She fears the bond. She fears what we can become. Then what do we do now? Kai asked. We go to the capital. She said. We face her, not as traitors, but as the bonded ones. Let them see who we really are. They walked forward into the dark, not alone, never alone, their souls connected by more than blood, now connected by fire. Asterisk. The gates of the capital opened like jaws ready to swallow fire as Lyra and Kai stepped forward, chained by light, not metal. Royal guards surrounded them in full silver armor, their faces hidden, their weapons glowing with quiet threat. Above them, towers reached into the clouds and banners of the queen flew high, blue and gold fluttering like lies in the wind. The people of Zalara had gathered in silence, their faces filled with anger, confusion, fear. They whispered when Lyra passed by. Some called her traitor, some called her the last hope. Kai could feel every voice like it was inside his chest. The bond made it impossible to block the noise, but he held Lyra's hand as tightly as he could. Even the chain could not break that touch. Inside the throne hall, the queen waited. She sat on a high seat carved from crystal and bone, her crown shaped like twin moons, her eyes sharp as knives. Her voice was soft but heavy like a mountain falling. You bring shame to this house, sister. You bring a human into the sacred bond. You bring danger to everything we built. Lyra stood tall, though her body trembled. The bond chose us, not me, and the temple showed us the truth. We are not the first. We are not the last. Queen raised her hand and the council stepped forward. 12 elders robed in black and silver, each carrying a staff that pulsed with soul energy. They formed a circle around Kai and Lyra, their eyes glowing faintly as the trial began. Voice of the high speaker filled the hall. You stand accused of soul corruption, of breaking royal law, of binding a foreign spirit to Zalaran blood. Do you deny this bond? Lyra looked at Kai. He nodded once. She turned to the speaker. We do not deny. We embrace. Then the trial begins, the speaker said. Let the mirror of truth decide. From the floor rose an ancient device, shaped like a flower made of stars. The mirror, it spun slowly, floating in the air, glowing with soft silver light. Mirror tests the bond. If it is real, it will shine. If it is false, it will break. The queen leaned forward, her smile cold. Let them burn if they lead. Lyra and Kai stepped into the circle and placed their hands on the mirror. At first nothing happened. Then their veins began to glow. Then their hearts began to race. The mirror read them. Not just their blood, but their choices. Their fears, their love, their truth. Visions exploded in the air around them. The jungle, the temple, the escape, the pain. The kiss they never spoke of, but both remembered. The mirror pulsed like a heartbeat. Then it lit up with a bright light that filled the hall, white, blue, silver, gold, all at once. The crowd gasped. The queen stood frozen. The bond is true, the high speaker said in shock. The bond is pure, but something else happened. The mirror cracked, a voice filled the air, not from the queen, not from the speaker, not from the people, an ancient voice. The same voice from the temple. The bond has returned. The crown must answer. The queen's eyes widened. No, this is impossible. The floor below her throne began to shake. Symbols rose from the crystal tiles, glowing red. The people backed away in fear. "What is this?" Alira asked, her voice shaking. The mirror speaks again. The throne was never meant for one. The bond was always meant to rule together. The crown rose from the queen's head, pulled by unseen force. It floated between her and Alira and Kai. The queen screamed and tried to grab it, but the light burned her hand. She fell to the floor, breathless, the power rejecting her touch. Kai stepped forward, Alira beside him. The crown slowly divided into two pieces and floated down, one piece into Kai's hand, one piece into Alira's. Throom fell silent. The speaker bowed his head. "The bondage shall rise, the throne shall change." The queen was dragged away by her own guards. The people began to kneel, not out of fear, but in awe. Alira turned to Kai, her voice a whisper inside his heart. "This is not the end. This is the beginning." He nodded, his hand holding the crown piece steady. "Together always." The sky above Zilara had changed its color, no longer red with war, no longer silent with fear. Now it burned with a strange light. A glow not from stars, but from the hearts of two bonded souls standing at the edge of everything. Alira stood on the high tower, her crown shining half gold, half silver, her eyes watching the horizon where warships gathered like hungry birds, ready to strike. Beside her, Kai stood, his armor marked with both Earth and Zilaran symbols, his hand on the rail, his mind calm but ready. They had claimed a throne. They had survived betrayal and trial. But peace was not yet born, not while fear still lived in the hearts of leaders, not while Earth generals called the bond a weapon, not while old Zilaran warlords called it a disease. Across the sky, two great fleets moved forward, one from Earth, one from the lost clans of Zilara, both aiming at the capital, both ready to erase the new bond before it could take root. Lyra closed her eyes and spoke without sound. "They come for us. They come for what they do not understand," Kai answered without words. "Then let them see. Let them feel what we are below." The city, the people gathered again, not in chains, not in silence, but in unity. Humans and Zelarans together, holding hands, lifting lights, chanting the words written in the old temple. One blood, one bond, one future. Alira and Kai stepped onto the sky bridge, the floating platform that rose above the city center. The mirror of truth floated between them, now healed, glowing brighter than ever. They reached out and placed their hands upon it once more. This time they did not see the past. This time they saw the possible. A world without walls, a galaxy without chains, but only if they chose the harder path. Suddenly, the mirror shattered again, not from lies but from power too great to hold. A final test had begun. From the light stepped two figures, not real, not alive, but spirits, the first bonded queen and soldier from ancient times, the ones who had failed, the ones who had tried before. They spoke in one voice. "To rise you must fall. To lead you must let go. To love you must suffer." Alira felt her chest tighten. She turned to Kai, her heart already knowing what must come. "One of us must break the bond," she said, "or they will never stop. They fear the power of two. They need to see that we were never a weapon, only a choice." Kai took her hands. "Then let them see love, not war. Let them see sacrifice, not fear." The mirror's light gathered between them, forming a sphere of pure energy. The voice of the first bonded spoke again. "To prove your love, you must give the bond back to the stars." Kai smiled without sadness. "I never needed the bond to love you, and I never needed the bond to feel you." Alira whispered. They touched the sphere and closed their eyes. In that moment, every ship in the sky, every soldier, every leader saw what they saw. Not words, not weapons, but a memory, their escape through the jungle, their visions in the temple, their trial, their hands reaching for each other even in chains, and finally this moment, two souls breaking their own bond by choice, for peace. The energy burst into the sky, a light so bright that time seemed to pause. The ships lowered, the weapons powered down, the leaders stood still. Bond was gone, but the memory remained. The proof was given. Kai opened his eyes slowly. Illyra stood before him, still whole, still glowing. The bond was broken, but the connection was not. They had chosen love without magic, peace without force, unity without control. The people began to cheer, not just in the city, but across the system, on screens, in hearts, in silence. Illyra turned to the crowd, her voice calm and full. We are no longer just rulers. We are the first to walk forward without fear, not as queen and consort, but as bonded souls who chose each other freely. Kai took her hand again. No glow this time, only warmth, and that was enough. They stood together as the stars above began to shine brighter. No longer watchers, now witnesses of a new age.